Dennis Dyack here, Chief Creative Officer of Precursor Games, and I'm here to give a couple updates on some things that I hope everyone's excited about. The first one is the Elder God creation process. After starting that a few weeks ago, we have now starting to go through and look at all the admissions, of course, and what we are going to do as a team is start contacting the people in the creation, the people who've created these, and start having Skype calls going through and basically either combining, selecting, choosing, and altering them. And our goal is to try to have the final 9 done before the Kickstarter crowdfunding pledge drive is completed. So hopefully it will be really exciting and people will like where we go in this direction. We're really excited and we think some of the submissions have been fantastic. Next up, we have the Enemy Creation Initiative within our community, and here I've created a quick tutorial of how to create an enemy in Shadow of the Eternals. Hopefully everyone likes it.
Alright, so let's create an enemy for Shadow of the Eternals. Before I actually go into the process, I just want to give you an example of something, or show you an example that we're going to create. This is what it will look like when it's done. It's an example of a Wraith, Rothan's Wraith, which is one of the Elder Gods submitted in our previous initiative for content creation in the game. This in no way means that this Elder God has been selected. I'm just using it as an example. So you can see that when you create an enemy, it has its house, which is, in this case, the House of the Mind. It's got its Elder God alignment, which is Rothran, and it's got its body type, its class type, which is what type it is. In this case, it's a melee damage type, and the icon there is a work in progress, so it will be replaced. And it's got its weak point, which is its back. And so let's start from the beginning, though, and hopefully everyone will get an idea of what it takes to create one of these. So in order to start, you want to create a new post. You want to title that post, just going over here and cutting and pasting from the previous thread, so we don't have to type in everything from scratch. You want to put in the name of your enemy. And the enemy in this particular case is an enemy that is completely invisible until you lose sanity. Once you go insane, you can then see him. And then the idea of this is if you attack him from the back, he will be vulnerable that way, and that's the best way to get him. So you create that, you put in a quick description of your enemy and what you would like, and this is very terse, just something really quick that I threw together. And then you want to say what house he's in, so I'm going to take the House of the Mind, and then I'm going to say what Elder God he represents. In Shadow of the Eternals, each alignment in Elder God will change some of the aspects of the enemy. You can throw in examples of these. We may have enemies that will change all the time, and we might just come up with classes, and we could have an alignment for each of these and just come up with a general class. You're going to want to put the name of the enemy in down here below, again, just so it's in the sidebar. And then you want to basically give us an idea of the body type. Biped, which is humanoid, which is the most common type and the type I recommend most people use. It generally takes less time to do these, and animations are much more simple. We can do a quadruped, so if someone wants to do an Uber dog, as an example, with 4 legs, we can do that, but they are much more difficult and will be limited to how many of these we can actually make. Or if you want to do something other, these can be very hard, range from very hard to very easy, depending on whether they're a floating blob or something like that. But in this particular case for the Wraith, we are going to use biped humanoid. With Shadow of the Eternals, part of the idea when you're in combat is that you're not going to be fighting a ton of enemies, and we're going to have classes for each enemy and archetypes, and these are very typical RPG archetypes like tank, caster, melee damage class, range damage class, and healers. For this particular case, it's going to be a melee damage class for our Wraith. But the idea is when you combine these different enemies in different setups, you can be in for a very interesting combat, and you have to be very strategic on the way you're doing it. So each different enemy can complement each other, and we think that that kind of gameplay is going to be something really special. So we're going to ask people to sort of classify how their enemy creation fits within these archetypes. And then, of course, we have the weak points, and in this particular case, it's going to be the back. So again, you want to be insane, and you want to attack these enemies from the back for your best results. So let's go ahead and create this new enemy, and you can see right away that we now have these classifications over to the right. But that's not quite good enough. Often you want to have some visuals, and so what I've done, because we know that not everyone is a concept artist, I've listed just some concepts from the internet, but I also am aware that there are people who are volunteering to do concepts, which would be great from within the community. But I would say just anything that gives people an example of what you're thinking of for images and what you think this may look like. It doesn't even have to be the exact one. So in this particular case, I'm a big fan of the 13 Ghosts, if you haven't seen that movie, and I'm going to put an image of the jackal as one image of what it could look like, or to give people a feeling of what we think it could look like. Also, for those who are Supernatural fans, there is an image of a wraith from Supernatural. And I'll insert the full image here. And then lastly, another really cool image, I found browsing on the internet as an example of what, it may look like. And this is closer to a ring wraith from Lord of the Rings. Insert that image in there, sort of give people an idea of where this concept, the sort of feeling of where it would go. Now, these are just possible ideas where it can go with the reference images, but by putting in reference images, it often helps people get a good idea of where the enemy is. So I'm just throwing those up as an example. Of course, people can feel free to put in any kind of thing that they like here as well. And then voila, we're done, and we have an example of how to create an enemy for Shadow of the Eternals. We very much look forward to seeing what you guys can come up with. I hope this is exciting, as exciting for everyone as it is for us, and we look forward to working with everyone on these things.
So if you've ever wanted to create an enemy in a video game, here's your chance. And if you have not signed up for Shadow of the Eternals, please pledge for this project. We need all the support we can get, and you can see what it's like for yourself to help create a video game. Thanks very much, everyone.